For many, elections are ultimately decided on economic matters. So what do the federal parties have on offer for Ontario's economic challenges? Let's hear from them. Here's Lisa Raitt, Conservative Party candidate in the riding of Milton. Andrew Thompson, New Democratic Party candidate for Eglinton Lawrence. Christia Freeland, Liberal Party candidate for University Rosedale. And Gord Miller, Green Party candidate for the riding of Guelph. And we are happy to welcome all four of you to our table here at TVO. I want to start with a nice, neutral, open-ended question. We'll go in order of precedence here. So, Lisa Raitt, to you first. What's the most important thing we need to know about your party's future plans for the economy? The most important thing.
The most important thing is that we're going to offer Canadians, and specifically Ontarians, stability. That we're going to protect the economy. We've shown that we can do it in the past. We know we can do it in the future. And our plan is pretty simple, Steve. It's lower taxes, it's a balanced budget, and all that leads to creating jobs.
Andrew Thompson.
Well, we are also going to provide a balanced budget. We know that there has to be a stable business environment for companies to work in, but there also have to be targeted incentives. We've seen far too much emphasis placed on the resource sector alone to carry the economy. There has to be now reinvestment in those key areas of the Ontario economy like manufacturing, innovation, and technology. And we'll make sure that we're partnering to do that.
Sorry, Christia Freeland?
What we are offering is an agenda for investment in jobs and growth. We understand that where we are today is not good enough. We understand that our economy is sluggish at best. We understand we have an infrastructure deficit. We understand that interest rates have never been so low. So we believe in an ambitious agenda for Ontario and the country. We're going to invest in it. And unfortunately, when you hear from other parties talking about a balanced budget, that's really a code for cuts. We don't think now is the time for cuts and austerity.
That's what we shall discuss over the next half an hour. Gord Miller.
Well, the other parties are focused on GDP growth, jobs, these dollar figure things. I think you have to look at the Green Party platform in terms of quality, prosperity, true prosperity, quality of life, security of person, and enjoyment in the community. That's the kind of focus we have in establishing our budget, not just money and not just making foreign national corporations rich with capital investments.
Let's pick up on the issue of deficits, because that is one of the areas which separates, I think, all four of your parties. Your party got some good news yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Only insofar as the budget is not in deficit. It actually is got a little bit of a surplus happening there.
Well, what we showed is what we said we were going to do, which was we recognized that deficits had to be gone into as a result of this recession that we started experiencing in 2008, 2009, but we always had a plan to come out of deficit. And we came out a little bit earlier than had anticipated, but that's because we're very conservative, both in terms of party, but also in terms of how we forecast. And it was very nice to see that we have a surplus going into this year, or coming out of last year. We'll have a surplus going into next year.
You sure about that?
Because we showed, you know what, the Prime Minister said very clearly yesterday that he has great faith and he's great confidence in the fact that we will see a surplus next year as well. $5 billion surplus in the first quarter is pretty good. And it's just showing that our plan is working. What doesn't work is increasing taxes, especially on corporate taxes, and running deficits, which causes instability and confidence in the economy.
Would you acknowledge that part of that $5 billion surplus showing so far is because you sold GM shares and therefore the books look a little better than they might otherwise?
Hey, you know what? Are you going to turn your back on a $3 billion surplus without the GM shares?
But the point is it's a one-off, right? It's a one-off.
It's still a $3 billion surplus, Steve.
Okay.
It's a good surplus, and it's more than what they're going to do, because they're not going to balance the books.
Well, I'm amazed when the Conservatives say they've been following this great plan, and then they're surprised that all of a sudden this budget got balanced. I mean, I've never seen such a happy group of Conservatives over their plans. Wow, maybe working. The problem is it's actually not working, because we've had 10 years of a lost decade under the Conservatives. It's good that on their seventh try, they've finally been able to balance the budget, but $150 billion worth of built-up debt. Now, I know the Liberals want to add to that. What we're saying is it's good the budget is finally balanced. This gives us all a good position to work from, so that we can start to make those investments back into the economy for growth, make the investments back into working families.
In fairness, part of that $150 billion in debt that they added was at your urging. You wanted them to take on that debt because we were in the middle of the worst recession since the Great Depression, right?
Certainly in 08, 09, we were in a position saying, yes, there was need for that kind of a stimulus package. By the time we start to move into 11, 12, 13, 14, I think there's a real question as to whether that was necessary or not. And certainly we don't think the deficit should continue onto 17, 18, and 19 like the Liberals are projecting.
Well, this is the big difference here. Okay, you two are adamant about presenting balanced budgets now. Your party has said it will offer, I think the word was modest deficits for the next few years, balancing in 2019. Why the difference?
Because we are the party that believes in investing for growth, in investing in infrastructure, in investing in our middle class. And, you know, I'm glad, Steve, that you put the NDP and the Conservatives together, because rather astonishingly, those two parties are both right now advocating for cuts and austerity. We understand.
Well, they haven't said,
I didn't interrupt you.
No, but in fairness, they have not said that. They've said they're going to balance the books and they're going to find their savings in their respective particular ways.
Well, speaking specifically about the NDP, they have a vast array of promises, about 30 billion worth, and then they are saying that next year they will have a balanced budget. You can't have both. You have to have cuts to achieve that. And actually, early on in his media rollout, Andrew talked about that and admitted that you would have to have some cuts to get there.
What if you
but
cut
talking
tax,
about
what if you
our
cut
plan,
tax breaks in the oil patch?
it's not going to be enough. You might get part of the way, but there is no way that you can get all of the Santa Claus goodies that we are hearing about from the NDP and also have a balanced budget. Our point, though, is we shouldn't have a fetish right now about a balanced budget in 2016. The point is our economy desperately needs investment in infrastructure, investment in affordable housing, investment in green sustainability. And by the way, this is not, some private personal conviction of the Liberal Party. This is what David Dodge, former governor of the Bank of Canada, is advocating. This is what the International Monetary Fund, in its flagship report in the fall of 2014, was calling on G7 countries to do. And they argued that every dollar invested in infrastructure gives you $3 of return to your GDP. We are ambitious for Canada. We know that interest rates have never been so low.
Okay, if that's the case, let's go $100 billion in deficit then, and we'll bring $300 billion back in, if it's a 3-to-1 return.
No, look, Steve, that's like saying that if for me to run 3 miles a day is a good thing, why don't I run 30 miles a day? I don't think that that would be a good thing. Moderation in all things,
You sound
right?
like Bill Davis now. Okay, deficits or not for the Green Party?
Well, we think we can do it without a deficit. We've costed our platform, and the budget goes forward. And guess what? Because we're legalizing marijuana and putting it on the market and taxing it like alcohol and tobacco, we got a big cash lump there to help us balance the budget against our promises as well. We're not afraid of increasing corporate tax rates for large corporations and bringing them up to 19% like it was in 2009. We've been dropping corporate tax rates for years, with the great promise of all the jobs are going to come. There are no jobs. The corporations are hoarding the money. So let's just help them along with investing that money by taking it back from them with a 19% tax rate, which I think was fair enough. Not going to increase it. We'll go with the Tories on small business, and we'll reduce the small business rate to 9%. So we've got money coming in. We're not
NDP
afraid
wants to do that too. Small business tax rate down to 9%.
Yeah, that's true. But I haven't heard.
And you too.
I haven't heard
united on that
anyone
one.
say
For
that
that?
corporation tax is going up to 19%, except the Greens.
Right.
And because we're not afraid of taking the money from the big corporations and investing it in prosperity for communities and for other parts of the economy.
I do need to go to Lisa Raitt on that, because that was the promise when Jim Flaherty, the former finance minister, the late former finance minister, and frankly, the Liberals in Ontario together cut corporate taxes a lot with the promise that all that money would be invested in new jobs. It has not happened. Has the promise of corporate tax cuts...
Can you say that, Steve? Can you say that you haven't seen more net new jobs since the beginning of the recession? 1.3 million net new jobs since the beginning of the recession in Canada have been built.
Thanks to corporate tax cuts?
I think in all of our measures, it's about lower taxes, certainly. It's about economic
Let's look at some of the
stability.
big
It's about
corporations.
One sec,
investing.
Larry, finish.
It's about investing in infrastructure as well. Where we differ on the small business piece, however, is that we have already reduced the tax rate there. We've said that we're going to continue to reduce the tax rate. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't point out the fact that we have a leader in the Liberal Party who thinks that a vast majority, over 50%, up to and over 50% of small businesses are just being run as a tax sham for people who are trying to hide personal income taxes. And I think there's a problem with that.
Okay, we need to let Gordon respond to what you first said, and then we'll let Christy respond to what you second
Well,
said.
and there's lots of. Let's remember here that corporate tax rates for large corporations in Canada are half the rate in the United States, and one would think the United States is pretty corporate friendly. So what's going on? We didn't get any great benefit for having half the rate. And as for small business being scams, I don't believe that small business, I used to run a small business. It's not about being scams. That's what builds the basis of your community and builds the basis of your economy. I think that's what we have to help and encourage small business. There's lots of work to be done in this province, not to focus entirely on exporting bitumen to foreign nationals so the value added can be all made, the money can be made overseas or in the United States.
Christopher Freeland.
Look, the Liberal Party has been clear for some time that we support lowering the tax rate on small business. We absolutely understand that small businesses are job creators. And by the way, we are not in favor of raising the corporate tax rate on big companies either. We understand, even if maybe some of my colleagues don't, that the Canadian economy can be doing much better than it is right now. And we want to encourage businesses to come to Canada. We want to encourage business activity. Now, as for Trudeau's remarks,
want to jump in on
yeah,
this.
as for Trudeau's remarks,
Finish that.
I
No,
get
please
my chance.
explain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
indeed.
As for Trudeau's remarks, I think that it is not a secret to anybody here or a surprise to anybody watching us that there are all sorts of problems, loopholes in our tax system, and people can use different tax vehicles to shelter their income. And I think that it is absolutely right to talk about it. And I think actually we're disagreeing about a lot. But I think if we were to turn the cameras off, we would all be able to agree that a priority for all parties, a priority for good government, would be to rationalize our tax system so that we don't have a situation, which we often do today, that a working person is paying taxes, a working person earning $30,000 a year can find themselves paying taxes on their income at a higher rate than someone who is earning a lot more money.
Andrew.
But let's go back to this issue about small businesses. We know 80% of the new jobs being created are in small businesses. We know there's 1.1 million small business employers, almost 8 million people employed in these. For the Liberals to be saying that there is this large percentage who are somehow ripping off the system as tax cheats, I think is clearly naive.
Yeah.
And this is one of the problems that we have with where the Liberals are at.
No,
They're on every side of every issue. Whether it's on the deficit, saying, no, we don't want them, now we're going to run them. They're going to be modest, no, they're going to be big. We're going to build an infrastructure, no, we're going to invest in social programs. It is a completely incoherent policy that keeps getting tripped up because they're making it on the basis of what the headlines today are.
Christopher Freeland.
Okay, absolutely not. And I'm just going to take on the big challenge there, which is this notion that there is not a central idea behind our economic policy. I'm co-chair of the economic advisory team to Justin Trudeau, and we've been working for the past 2 years in a very serious policy-based way, not political, but policy-based way to build our agenda. And I have to say, I am really proud that we are addressing the two key economic challenges Canada faces today. One of them is a sluggish economy and an infrastructure deficit, and we are addressing that, and we're doing it in a politically bold way and in an honest way. We are saying, yes, the way to fix this is to spend some money taking advantage of those rock bottom interest rates. And yes, we're going to run a deficit for a couple of years. And by the way, the IMF and people like David Dodge think that's the right thing to do. And the second thing that we are addressing clearly and consistently is the issue of rising income inequality. And we're the only party clearly calling for a tax system which leans against that income inequality and is more progressive, gives the middle class a break, and asks people at the very top, earning more than $217,000 to pay a little more. I think that's fair.
Tax, 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 spend, 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 Steve. That's what you're hearing from the Liberals. What you're hearing from us is very different. We've lowered taxes. Guess what? In the economic fall update, what did we see for the year end last year? Wow, revenues are up. So we cut income taxes, yet we still collected more personal and corporate income taxes. It seems to me that the plan is working, and that's the plan that will protect Canadians going into the future.
Are there no circumstances under which you would raise any taxes going forward?
What we learned in the 2008 recession, which I think you appropriately characterize as being the worst since the Great Depression, is that never say never in those terms. But those are decisions that are taken with great thought. They're not a knee-jerk reaction. You don't base policy on a hope that we're in a recession and then find out, oh, I guess we're not. You don't base policy on a hope that we're in deficit and then deny the fact that we aren't, that we do have a surplus like the Liberals have done in the past couple of days. You take a look at the facts, and I trust very much the Prime Minister and Joe Oliver to manage us appropriately. We've showed that in the past. We'll continue to do that in the future.
Let me just try to understand the distinctions between your two parties as well, which is you want to raise taxes on corporations a little bit. You want to raise taxes on high-income earners So both of your parties seem to acknowledge that there is a need to get more revenue to pay for the promises that you've made. Am I okay so far? Yes?
Correct.
It's just whether you're going to take it out of this pocket or out of that pocket.
Well,
We right
and-
so far?
Yeah, and also whether the math actually adds up, because we're actually saying, yes, we do need to raise some additional revenue to pay for the things we need to do. And because we think we need to do a lot, we're saying we need to run a modest deficit. Where the NDP plan falls down is, on the one hand, they're making vast promises, and on the other hand, they're saying they'll balance their budget. And those things simply don't compute. And it is also sort of astonishing to hear it from the NDP, because when I first got to Parliament in 2014, Peggy Nash, the NDP finance critic, was going after the Conservatives for their policies of austerity.
I must confess.
So what changed?
Andrew Thompson, well, let me
did
put it.
balance the budget.
Let me put it this way. I went to one of Tom Mulcair's big rallies last week. I got to tell you, rock star opening. I mean, the room was packed. It was a big thing.
A lot of excitement.
There was a lot of. I'll give it to you. There was a lot of excitement there. And then when he started going through the planks of the platform, and he said, "We're going to lower the tax on small business from 11 to 9%." Not so big an overwhelming round of applause from an audience that is, that traditionally does not think of itself as trying to do any favors for business. Is this a little off message for you guys?
No, I don't think it is actually, because we are really in a position where we're trying to figure out how to get the economy growing in the most effective way, how to make sure that ordinary Canadians benefit from that, and to make sure that we have all of the engines of the economy firing appropriately. Tom's been in the cabinet. I've been in the cabinet. We understand the choices that need to be made.
Provincially.
And provincially, indeed. But those issues are still very real. How do you manage your tax revenue with your expenditures? What are the priorities you put? And we've been very upfront by saying there needs to be a rebalancing of the tax rates in this country, that there should be less pressure on personal taxes, unlike the Liberals, who are prepared to increase those, more emphasis put on the corporate rate. At the same time, targeted incentives to those sectors that are creating jobs, small businesses, manufacturing, innovation. That's how we think this should be moving forward.
Okay,
And it's a plan that I think will work.
Gordon, I want you in on this first for this next part here. The Ontario economy is 40% of the national economy.
Sure.
If Ontario is not doing well, chances are
And the focus has not
the
been
feds aren't going to feel it.
on Ontario
So-
for a long time.
So tell me about some policy that the Greens have in mind that you think would be particularly important for Ontario.
Well, I hate to describe the green policy as being regionally based. That's a little bit unfair. But clearly, the big communities are in Ontario because we have so much of the population, and our policies are very, very community focused. They're not focused on exporting bitumen. They're not focused on these big trade deals with dealing with the countries outside that will run our laws and override our parliament. But we're focused on energy efficiency, investing in communities. We're focused on infrastructure too, but our infrastructure plan is very, very clear. 1% of the GST, predictable, no stop and start funding for infrastructure, consistent, predictable, plannable infrastructure improvements so that we can build up the expertise and keep the costs down, and communities can build themselves. It's about focusing on community, and a lot of big communities in Ontario. So it's not about these grandiose schemes of export to other nations. It's about building Canada, the prosperity for Canadian homes. And I think that's quite a distinction. The focus, the orientation is back to the community in the Green Party, not on these great international schemes.
Okay, in the last parliament, your party had more seats than any other party in the province of Ontario. Why was that a good thing in your view for Ontario?
Take a look at the cabinet. Tony Clement, Ontario. John Baird, Ontario. Lisa Raitt, Ontario. Diane Finley, Ontario. Also Jim Flaherty, Ontario. Joe Oliver, Ontario. I mean, we held the economic positions because Ontario is such an important part of our economic development here in Canada. So when GM had their issues, like you pointed out at the beginning, yeah, we bailed them out. And there was opposition to us doing that, but we did it, and it was the right thing to do for Canadian taxpayers.
Actually,
and it's the right thing to do.
Sorry to interrupt. There was opposition at this table. You were opposed to that.
Yeah.
You were opposed to bailing out GM, right?
Look, Steve, I'm really pleased that you and the opposition war rooms of my colleagues have been looking at all the comments I made over a 22-year career in journalism, when I spoke on a lot of TV shows, wrote a lot of columns, wrote 2 books.
You didn't say let them die. You
discuss.
just said they should file for Chapter 11 and go through that
I was
process.
talking on a U.S. talk show about the United States and about U.S. Chapter 11 provisions. And I would be happy to have a long discussion with all of us about how Chapter 11 works and the value of bail-in rather than bail-out.
But I don't think that because of Ford employees in my riding and
But,
the GM
you know,
employees around, not because of what you said, Chris.
But I don't think that that's what we're here to talk about. But I'm happy to talk about our plan for Ontario.
Fire away.
So look, like Gord, we believe in a national strategy and in coming up with policies that are good for the whole country. Having said that, our infrastructure plan will be terrific for Ontario and would be terrific for my riding of University Rosedale. There is no place in the country that needs infrastructure investment more than Toronto. The country's biggest city, our metropolis, where the population is growing by 100,000 people a year and the infrastructure is not keeping up. And I am tremendously pleased that we're going to be able to offer, right after taking office, a big increase in the money that we spend on transit, on affordable housing, and on green infrastructure. And that is going to be great for Ontario, it's going to be great for jobs, and it's going to be great for the whole country.
But I want to pick this point up for a second because I do think there's two issues that really do speak to what the Liberals are talking about. One, it is really focused on ridings like Christia's, and it's missing the point that Ontario actually needs to grow all across. There are a lot of jobs that need to be supported in southwestern Ontario. There's a lot of investment needed in the north, and we need to make sure that that's happening. This Toronto-centric approach, don't get me wrong, I'm running in Toronto. But
and
we
your
cannot,
leader says it's the most important city in the country.
And it is. There is no doubt about
I
it
have
in
to
terms of
kiss
its
you, Andrew, for saying that we're focusing on my riding. You just helped me out tremendously. So people of University Rosedale, I care about.
Not sure that's what he meant, but anyway, keep
Yeah,
going.
so that's fine. I'll put an asterisk on that, and we'll deal with this after. But look, the problem is that it is a kind of an arrogance in the approach, and I think it misses the opportunity that we have to really see growth all across Ontario.
Is
The
that
second
arrogance
piece,
in what approach? Sorry.
in this idea that we should only be focused on those issues that affect us here in downtown Toronto. Second piece that I worry about with the Liberal platform is that it has no predictability to it. It actually has a declining stream of revenue in the out years. So there's an initial injection and there's a declining stream after that. The other parties are not looking at that. We've heard clearly, the NDP has heard clearly from the cities that they need a predictable stream, and we'll make sure that that's in place.
We already did that.
I
The
need
gas
to be able
tax,
to
indexed, predictable. Jim Flaherty did that before he passed away, and they continue to collect it. And I think it's really important for, as you said, municipalities to have that, and we gave it to them. I think it's important. But Steve,
I
we're
need
not
to-
talking about the elephant in the room.
thanks.
The elephant in the room is how does this all work with an Ontario that has an Ontario provincial Liberal government as well? And what is going to be the interaction there? Because I can tell you this, the one thing I get at the doors in Milton, to give my own community a plug, is their biggest concern when you say, are there any questions or concerns? You know what it is? It's their hydro bill, Steve. That's what they're worried about. And that hydro bill is a direct result of the green infrastructure investment that was started in 2009 and 2010. 40% increase in your hydro.
I've got the former Environmental Commissioner of Ontario sitting right beside you now. Is that
take-
true?
No, it's not. It's not. It's complete misrepresentation of the whole
Hydro
situation.
didn't go up
Not nearly as much as you claim it did.
40%?
Well,
From what year to what
hang on,
year?
let's just be clear.
09 to today.
You were saying it went up that much because of investments made in green
That's
power.
right.
Is that true?
That is not true. That is not true. The amount of charges because of the amount of green power on a grid could not possibly drive the price up that high. If you want to know where the price went, it went into the nuclear plants. And it went into subsidizing the NUGs, the non-utility generation. There's all sorts of reasons for that price went up and those costs went up. But the amount of wind and solar we have in this province couldn't possibly have driven that price up that much. The math just doesn't work.
Because it's such a small
Such a
percentage
small
of water
portion.
usage.
Steve, I've just had a
policy
double
didn't
barrel
work.
attack
So
from
that is
Mr.
just
Powell.
simply
did not
Stand-
work.
propaganda.
Stand by, everybody. There was a charge of arrogance a while ago, which I do need to get back to. We are going to come back to that because
Thank you,
I've got to
sir.
be fair. You hit that, and then we're going to go to income security.
Okay, thank you very much. So look, the idea that our infrastructure plan is somehow arrogant or somehow only good for Canada's big cities is absolutely absurd. You show me a community in this province, or frankly in this country, that doesn't have an infrastructure deficit. It just doesn't exist. We have been living off of the infrastructure that our grandparents and our parents built, and it is time to build again for the 21st century. And it's time to do it now when our economy is stagnant at best, when our kids can't get jobs, and when interest rates have never been lower. And to the point that our funding is unpredictable. It's absolutely not the case. I could show you, if you wanted me to hold up a sheet of paper, our 10-year funding plan for infrastructure. It calls for a sharp boost in the first 2 years because we accept, even if the Conservatives and the NDP don't, that the economy is stagnant. So an additional $5 billion per year for the first 2 years. Then we will move towards a balanced budget by the end of the first mandate. And then over the subsequent 4 years, we're going to get to a stable funding of the equivalent of 1 percentage point of GST.
Needed for infrastructure. There are ridings in this province, in this country, that don't have safe drinking water, that don't have proper sewage that's functioning properly. And you're in a multi-million-dollar, people are homes worth millions of dollars in a city that is rich. Yours is not the most critical place for infrastructure in this country.
And people in University Rosedale living in affordable housing.
They got the richest and the poorest in that riding.
And we desperately need better transit.
Andrew, can I get you in on this,
but we can build it for the whole country. That's why we need a big
Andrew
plan.
Thompson?
So the concern that I have with what the Liberals are proposing is, of course, there is no plan to pay the money back. There's no transparency in what they're going to do to bring into balance. We've seen this before. We saw this just a few months ago in Ontario when Kathleen Wynne was campaigning that everything was fine and rosy. Borrow yourself into all sorts of growth. And what did we end up with? Selling off Hydro One. Absolutely. We ended up with a $500 million cut to education. We've got cuts to healthcare. That's exactly what the Liberals are going to end up proposing again. And I just find it amazing that they keep bringing this forward with no plan, no transparency, and no actual honest approach to bring the budget back into balance.
We have absolute transparency, actually, in contrast with the NDP. And what we're saying is, it's actually, you know, in a way, I think this is a good conversation to have, and it's good to have the contrast, because there are two clearly different visions on offer. You can have cuts in austerity, or you can have investment in jobs and growth. And it really depends on your vision of Canada. Are you ambitious? Do you believe we can have more than we have now? Or are you believing in treading water?
But the Liberals are proposing essentially a stimulus package which is only focused on short-term jobs and one-term projects. I mean, and no plan whatsoever to actually pay the money back.
Built-in transit is not one term.
So what is the plan to bring? What is the plan to pay this back?
Builds our productive capacity for the future.
What is the plan?
Building affordable housing builds our productive capacity
Just
for
borrow.
the future.
In
No,
our
the plan
budget-
is.
Excuse me, last word, Lisa Raitt on this, then we're moving on.
In fairness, in our budget, we have set out numerous ways in which infrastructure investment will happen in this country. Number one is the Building Canada plan, the largest and the longest infrastructure plan ever introduced in our country. Number two, the Public Transit Fund, which of course is going to be incredibly helpful and useful for Toronto specifically and for other places around the country as well. And we have smaller projects. We are actually the party that recognizes that communities under 100,000 matter here as well. Toronto is very important to us, but as well, so is Milton and Guelph. Those are smaller communities that are important. We're going to continue on our plan of lowering taxes, making those targeted investments, balancing the budget, and those are what grow the economy, and we've grown the economy every single year.
Moving on to income security. I know all of you have things on offer for people who are worried about how much income they're going to have to live on in their senior years. I've heard from all of the parties out there on the hustings, but let's go through them. Okay, Andrew Thompson, to you first. I've seen Tom Mulcair making some announcements about how he'd up the GIS. What have you got in mind?
Certainly the GIS is an important issue. It will help lift more than 200,000 seniors out of poverty. This is a very important issue, as well the reduction of the eligibility for OAS from the age 67 down to 65. These are important things for seniors. There's also a number of other social supports that we're looking at. The investment that we've announced for home care will help seniors stay in their homes longer. We'll be able to make sure there is better quality of life as people move into retirement. So these are all important issues that we, as Social Democrats, obviously support and have been advocating for years.
Have you costed them?
Yes, indeed, and obviously in advance of the economic debate, our platform, unlike the other parties, will be fully costed and fully available.
Have you put a price tag on it so far? I mean, I think you've gone, are we up to $400 million on these measures alone so far?
I think it's important to look at the whole platform together, and that's what we will in fact be able to show in advance of the
It'll help us figure out how
debate.
much tax increase we'll need at the
Well,
back end to fill the gap.
I think we've been pretty clear that there does need to be a rebalancing. We're not ideological slaves like the Conservatives who believe that a tax cut in every pot is somehow going to protect families from problems with health or problems with their looking after seniors. That in fact doesn't do anything. What we need are actual investments in social programs, and we're prepared to rebalance the tax rates
Are you
to
going to tell
ensure.
us by how much?
Indeed,
Tell us the
absolutely.
number?
Can you tell us when?
Indeed, before Thursday.
And,
Oh,
and,
we'll
and
ha-
will Tom Mulcair know what the corporate tax rate is when he goes into that debate?
Let me just assure you that our platform will be fully available. Now, my question is, when will the Liberals put forward the same? When will the Conservatives put forward the same? I'm sure the Conservatives will be surprised when they see it, just as they have been surprised that all of a sudden yesterday the books were balanced.
Well, sit tight on those for a second. I want to go to Gord second. Okay. On the issue of income security, what have the Greens got up their sleeves?
Guaranteed livable income. It's been talked about for years, but so many programs in various sectors, starting with, the welfare payments from the subsidy comes from the government, but all sorts of programs targeted. And then tax credits targeted. Tory's latest one is, they want to give the Rotarians a tax credit for their fees.
Because they volunteer and they're
Oh,
good
I see.
people.
Well, I was a Rotarian for years. I didn't do it for the tax credit. You do it for the community service. It's not about all those little money for for hockey pucks and hockey gear and money for this and money for that.
Milton's listening right now.
How about a nice, simple system where we have a guaranteed livable income based on the tax system where everybody gets a certain amount of money, enough money to live a modest lifestyle and get along, and
Which
far
would
more
replace-
efficient,
replacing
all those little pet tax credits, replacing many of the income subsidies for various sectors, simplify it all, reduce the bureaucratic overhead of all those operations, and say, Canadians, we can afford a guaranteed livable income for everybody.
Lisa Raitt, on income security, what's your plan?
Well, we fundamentally believe, as opposed to the other three parties at the table, that Canadian families and individuals should be able to manage their own money, and that when they send a surplus to Ottawa, it should go back to them in tax cuts, that they can make decisions about their health care, that they can make decisions to look after themselves, choose to volunteer, choose to donate, choose to save for their future. Those are the tools that we put in place. Those are the things that we offer to Canadians in order to protect themselves going forward. You still have to do spending in terms of transfers. We've increased transfers every year to the provinces. We increased them, and it showed in the surplus that it was okay to continue to increase them. We have looked very carefully at the issue of seniors, and we were the government that brought in the biggest increase in GIS in 25 years. And having been raised by a grandmother who was dependent upon social assistance when I was growing up, that was an important piece for all of us.
Christian.
So look, I just want to start off by challenging this sort of vision that Lisa is painting of a Canada in which everything is fantastic with the cold hard facts, which is in the first 6 months of this year, our economy was in recession. The only G7 country to be in recession. That is the reality, and that is what people know. That is what people are feeling. On the income security point, we absolutely believe that it is wrong to raise the pension age to 67. That takes $30,000 out of the pockets of some of Canada's most vulnerable people, the people who built our country. It needs to be at 65. We also believe that it's time now to get back to this old-fashioned thing called First Ministers' meetings. And when Justin Trudeau becomes Prime Minister, he will get together with the premiers and we'll talk about ways to enhance the CPP.
What's the value of that? What's the value of having them all sit down at the same table?
Because we live in this country called Canada, and Canada has federal governments, and it has provincial governments, and it has municipal governments. And we all know that Canada works best when we are all working together.
I recall a lot of yelling and a lot of showmanship and a lot of one-upping at those First Ministers'
Better
conferences.
to be yelling around a table to each other's faces than yelling to reporters in separate rooms and not actually getting programs together and getting them done. But just to finish on the seniors quickly, there's one more key piece, right? Yesterday, I was at an affordable housing panel with some key stakeholders that are working at the coalface, working with some of Canada's most vulnerable people. And one of the groups they singled out that needs affordable housing is Canada's seniors. Our infrastructure investment is 1/3 devoted to social infrastructure, a big piece of which is affordable housing, and that will help seniors stay in their homes and have places they can afford to live decently.
Andrew Thompson.
I think it's rather disingenuous for the Liberals to say that they are big supporters of federal-provincial cooperation. I have sat around a lot of FPT tables where it has simply been...
You signed the child care agreement,
where the Liberals,
Andrew, and you loved it. I'm glad that you did.
Where the Liberals have simply forced their agenda upon the provinces. They have moved, when they were attempting to balance the budget, moved billions of dollars of services over on the provinces. They created the fiscal imbalance that's in the country. So for the Liberals to somehow say that there's a new era for cooperation, I don't see. The other thing is this is the wrong type
Are you
of
going to comment on the child care agreement?
Well, I am actually going to comment on both that and on the need for an increase in the federal minimum
Alas,
wage.
we have 30 seconds left, so do your best.
So, look, what we need are actual responses that deal with the needs of people. We do need to increase the federal minimum wage. We do need an expansion of
Which
the
helps
CPP.
how many people?
100,000. But obviously, to the Liberals, 100,000 isn't a significant number.
We think it's, of course, the right thing to do, but you can't
But you didn't
sell
vote for it, so
you
how
can't
can you
sell
say
it
that it was
to
the right thing to
Canadians.
do when you
can't
yourself
sell
didn't
it to
support it?
Canadians. I was in Washington meeting with people on the trade file on that day. Of course, we support the minimum wage, but you guys can't go around the country acting as if a $15 federal minimum wage applies to everybody.
Am I out of
That is
time?
not honest.
Am I out of time? I'm out of time. We could go on, but we can't. So let me thank all of you for coming into TVO tonight for this debate. Lisa Raitt, Conservative candidate in Milton. Andrew Thompson, NDP candidate for Eglinton Lawrence. Chrystia Freeland, the Liberal candidate in University Rosedale. Gord Miller, Green Party candidate in the riding of Guelph. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.